What's up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome to episode number 21 of the Group Meeting Podcast here at fanboysanonymous.com. I'm your host of the panel, Tony Mango, main man over at Fanboys Anonymous, and joining me on this podcast, we've got Chris the Dace Man. Dace.
Hey, I apologize in advance.
We've got Caroline Oliveira.
Hello.
And Eddie Sakira.
Straight from church. Yes, that is
okay.
Tantra. Because we'll be speaking of a controversial subject, nothing better than the house of prayer to do so.
Yes, this definitely is going to be a controversial one, so warning for the people that are sensitive about this, the whole, this was my trigger or whatever the hell. This is going to be something that potentially could get out of hand when it comes to the comment section, so I do want to stress, don't go crazy on the comments.
Yeah, don't get butthurt.
Yeah, if you are in the type of mentality where this is the type of thing you don't agree with, then you don't have to necessarily agree with it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's the political correct way for me to say you're a bigot asshole. But, don't start making people feel uncomfortable in the comment section and stuff. Voice your opinion. You could have a political debate and stuff like that, but don't make it a hate speech thing. We are officially calling this meeting to order, and if you haven't already figured it out by now because you're on iTunes or Stitcher and you can't see the title or something like that, then this podcast is going to be about the LGBT culture when it comes to geek entertainment. And we're going to touch on a couple of different subject matters here. I'm basically going to run this down through a bunch of different characters, but we're going to branch off and we're going to talk about different subjects and just kind of spit out whatever we want to spit out about it, and whatever comes out, that's what comes out. So no set amount of, like, part one's going to be this, part two is going to be that. Whatever happens, happens. So the way I kind of wanted to start this off with is very, very basic way, but it's something that kind of sets the precedent for it. The Comics Code. For those who don't know what the Comics Code is, it was back many, many decades ago when people had a different perception of the comic book industry. That used to be for little kids more so than anything else, and there were a bunch of people that thought it needed to be regulated in a way that, kind of like when we have like the rated R films and kids can't see them because it's rated R, there's NC-17, that kind of stuff. We went through the whole thing with not safe for work stuff last month on the Geek group meeting, but they looked at it that way and they said, we've got a bunch of rules here. One of them is that you can't have like drug use. One of them is a different set of violence that can happen and can't happen, because it shouldn't have like, really super bloody characters and stuff. Like vampires, for one reason, were like off limits and shit. But one part of it was actually about homosexuality. And there was a big hubbub kind of shit about Batman and Robin, the two most iconic characters that you can get when it comes to comics other than Superman. A lot of people, still even to this day, had accusations that Batman and Robin were a gay couple because they would show them like laying in bed together and like some really kind of like awkward things that were like kind of hinting at it and stuff, but they never ever established that that was true. They just happened to be like, look at Robin, he's pretty goddamn feminine in those days. He's got the little pixie slippers and
I don't think the 1960s show helped much either.
No, not at all. Adam West doesn't come off as like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type or something. Like,
Comes off as a bear, like a
right.
bear.
And some people have even played Batman in that way. I mean, George Clooney at one point, he said that he basically played Batman and Bruce Wayne as being a closet homosexual in Batman and Robin.
Because George Clooney is.
Yeah,
He
well.
might be. You never know. That could explain a lot. Wait, isn't he married now?
Yeah.
Facade. Too many people were calling him gay.
Married
so
to Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise looking out of the closet!
Quite a concept.
But Batman and Robin, that was a big set of controversial stuff, and they eventually actually added some other characters specifically to try to get around that. Like Batgirl was brought onto the scene because it was like, well, Batgirl could be a love interest for either Batman or Robin, and they've had Batwoman for Batman. Batwoman eventually actually became like an icon for the LGBT community because she was one of the first that actually was like flat out admittably in that kind of spectrum, and not somebody who just, they sort of played around with it and kind of hinted at it but didn't want to officially. It was just like, no, she is a lesbian. There you go, lesbian character and stuff. But before we're going to branch the Batman and Robin thing off in a couple different ways, but I'll save some of those topics. What do you guys think about Batman and Robin? Was that something that ever come across to you as that these two were a couple?
Well, somewhat. I mean, I guess growing up, I never really, like, thought too much about it. But I guess in the later years, I mean, I love fan fiction, alright? Like, sue me. Like, I love pretending that some of the characters that I love have gay relationships to other characters. So, in my head, I love to think that they do have a secret relationship and they really do love each other. Sue me.
I think in the 1960s, there would be a good argument to say that Robin was. Batman's kind of hard. To me, he looks like Adam West from Family Guy. He's just a crazy old guy running around with a bomb. The newer stuff, I always saw Batman as kind of like asexual. He just didn't need anyone, was a loner, never got a vibe from him that he was like seeking affection, especially from a man. The two, I've never read any of the older stuff. So most of the stuff that I'm coming from is like 90s. And none of that ever gave me the vibe that they were.
I guess it's my turn. I never, ever once thought any of this stuff. When I was growing up, or as a teenager, or even as an adult, it's weird that sexuality is such a big part of any human being's life. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, fiction is just one way or another. Maybe not today. Today you have all sorts of types of fan fiction and whatever else. But as long as I was growing up, that was never something you just kind of wonder about. Everything was two-dimensional. Like, okay, Batman fights crime and that's it. Or, Spider-Man fights crime, or the X-Men, or whatever. You'd read Lord of the Rings and there's like no sex in there. And I don't know. It was a different world. I suppose like, as a teenager, my frustration of not having a girlfriend or anything of the sort, just made me go into that kind of world where it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about sex here because there's no sex here.
There's definitely in Lord of the Rings, though. Look at how Sam looks at Frodo.
Yeah, dude. But you know what? Like, I never ever saw, no, really, even in the whole, like, making fun of, when you're a kid, especially growing up in the, I'm a little old, I don't care. Growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, it's like, when you're a kid and it's like everything, you call something gay. Mm. You'd call something gay and say, that's totally gay, as in, it sucks.
Right.
Like, I mean, obviously nowadays I catch myself thinking, that's totally gay. And I'm like, shit, that
You're like,
doesn't
that could be
mean
offensive. Like,
yeah, no, that's not even offensive. Like, it's just like, I reprimand myself in the way that's like, that doesn't mean anything anymore. Mm. It's like back in the day, calling somebody a dork actually meant calling somebody a penis. Dork actually meant penis. Yeah, really. I learned that from, The Far Side.
Speaking of calling somebody penis, I mean, it doesn't help Batman and Robin's case that Robin's name is Dick.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's just.
That's the worst possible choice they could have made. I mean, his name's Richard John Grayson, and they're like, we should call this guy Dick.
Richard John?
You'd think at one point they're like, Richie, Rick, Richard. Fucking, even when they were going to do like a spin-off kind of thing of Smallville, and it was going to be Grayson, and it was going to be following Robin, and they were going to call him DJ on there for, like, Dick John Grayson, but even John is another name for Dick.
Yeah, exactly. Or they might go like, oh, you know what? Let's change it completely. Let's just call him like Benjamin. Yeah, BJ. Oh wait, BJ's kind of taken already. Yeah. So I mean, there's malice everywhere you want to see it.
Right.
right?
like,
Honestly, I'll be very, very straightforward. It's so early in the podcast. I think this whole sexuality bullshit is just a big marketing thing. I'm not saying it's not sincere sometimes. It's not legitimate. For instance, I thought, I know Tony didn't like the movie. I think it was Tony. But Chasing Amy is one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. It's the best romantic comedy of all times. It's just, and it's totally regarding, it's got totally LGBT, like it's in that universe. It takes place in that universe. And in the conflicts of that universe, but it does it tastefully, It's not like it's, for instance, the whole Dumbledore's gay thing. One day, I don't know, I was just like talking with my sister about Harry Potter or something. And then she's like, oh, I read all the books and they were awesome. The movies are not as good, but they're still cool. And then blah, 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 blah. And suddenly she mentions that, oh yeah, by the way, the author, whatever her, J.K. Rowling, she mentioned that Dumbledore is gay. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that is so random. That is so useless. That is so, that's not a part of that kind of world,
Yeah, it doesn't have any effect on the story. It's
even with Luke Skywalker, and Leia kissed, it didn't, that's not what the movie is about. It's not about the incest. It's not about that. And Han Solo hooking up with Leia. That's not what it's about. Obviously, when I grow up, I'm like, hey, he's gonna bang her. That's cool. Yeah, but like, I don't care. I never cared about that stuff.
What if the first draft to Return of the Jedi was all about the incest?
Well, no, that was actually
them getting Han Solo. It's like Leia's going like, we got to get Han, and Luke's like, do we really? Bringing it back to Batman, though, that is something that they've played around with for years and stuff. And like I said, with, you can make the dick jokes and stuff like that. They obviously have made jokes about this over the years. And one of the best representations of that was the SNL TV Funhouse sketches of the ambiguously gay duo, which clearly were Batman and Robin. I mean, they were just ersatz versions of them. And they played that trope up immediately and to like a 10 out of a 10 kind of blatantly obvious. And that was the whole joke of the whole thing, was just like them rubbing up on like the car was shaped like a giant penis. And everybody's just like, you don't see this shit? And they're like, what? That's our car. Like,
yeah.
But that was a great way to like make fun of the situation like that. And that's not making fun of gay people. It's making fun of, look at how gay these two characters used to be, even though they're not gay. Like, I always thought that was a great send up of that. Some people probably could have been offended, but do you guys think that was offensive?
I don't know what offensive is. Like, honestly, like, you can throw anything in my face, like, it won't be offensive. So I'm not a good judge of offensiveness.
What about you, Dace? Is that something that was like crossing a line?
Oh, absolutely not. And I think it gave us two great actors out of that, too. That's where Stephen Colbert and Steve Carell kind of got their foot in the door for Saturday Night Live.
Colbert was one of them?
Colbert was, I believe, A, and G, I think it was Carell.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Rob Smigel is the one who created it, and he usually did the other voices, like, you guys are on a dick. And they're like, I don't say it. Like, it's my car. I didn't think it was offensive. I think it was funny. It was more so making fun of Batman and Robin than it was, like, the gay community. So just the fact that they're oblivious to riding dildos to the street.
Well, eventually they got to a point where they decided, let's have kind of the same, kind of a little different. There's been not anywhere near as much when it comes to Batman and Robin in comparison, but some people have, of course, like Caroline mentioned, she checks out the fan fiction and stuff. I guarantee there's fan fiction out there of Batman and Superman. And
oh, yeah.
Eventually it got to the point where they made Wildstorm made the Authority, a group of characters, kind of their own, like, darker Justice League. And two of them, the different versions of Batman and Superman, Midnighter and Apollo, are a gay couple. And they are flat out a gay couple. They've been married. They kiss on the panels, that kind of stuff like that. And that was something that, of course, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And it was just like, we can't see this and stuff. The people that are really, like, anti this whole entire thing and stuff.
Get your sand out of your vaginas.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't get the problem with it. I can understand when, like, they take a character and they change a character, how some people can be upset. And that applies to pretty much anything. If you make, like, I mean, it's hard to say, because it's like,
you're doing it just to do it. Because if you look at like characters we're gonna get into it later in this conversation, like Colossus and Iceman, you just changed them to change them. There was nothing leading up in the 40 years of history they had that they're going to turn gay.
Mm-hmm.
It
or
was
even when
just
it comes to race in characters. We'll eventually do a big podcast about that, so I don't want to touch too on it. But like,
I'm offended. I just accidentally Googled something I shouldn't have regarding Batman and Superman, and
I'm sure
stuff showed up. You know,
do not go to the image part.
Caroline's like, give me that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I'm like,
it's not the
wait,
image.
what
It's not really
find?
the images that bothered me. It was the videos that showed up.
Oh, come on.
Was it a flip book one? Like
no,
you started one page and just like it goes in and out.
No. I didn't get into it. It's just you had to press play. So thankfully I didn't do it. It's just I wasn't expecting it.
I'm gonna Google that right now.
Have fun, Caroline. Heaven knows I'd love to see Poison Ivy and Batgirl, but that's just me.
That's actually a character we'll talk about a little bit later on. But yeah, when they take a character and they change them for the sake of it, I can understand how some people can be upset, but only when they get upset because that's not the real character. And a lot of the time, I still think it's not a big deal. People complained about Heimdall. They're like, why is Heimdall black? He's a Norse god. And it was just like, well, who fucking cares? He's a goddamn alien. That's what he is. But if they were going to change something like I actually personally did not like the idea that Daniel Craig was James Bond and he has blondish hair. I was just like, dude, it's a $10 bottle of hair dye. You know, I'll fucking buy it and send it to
That's
you
even
guys.
worse.
Like, that kind of stuff does bother me every once in a while. And some people are going like, well, we should have Idris Elba or Idris Elba? Is it Idris or Idris?
I'd say Idris.
I think it's Idris, yeah.
Call him Dross.
Good old Dross.
I'll call him Heimdall, whatever.
He has been rumored to also be a potential candidate for the next James Bond, and some people were complaining, and they were like, well, we can't have a black James Bond. What's next? We're going to have a gay James Bond? And it's like, well, there's a difference here.
A gay woman extradited, like Afghani, dwarf.
I would rather James Bond still
AIDS.
be a white male, because that's what the character has been. But if they went with a black James Bond, it wouldn't be the end of the world. The problem with Idris Elba that I have is that he's too old, not that he's black. But you kind of can't change a character like James Bond and make him homosexual, because that gets rid of Bond girls. Like
Bond guys.
Yeah, you can't just change it over to Bond guys and have the series be the same kind of a thing. You know what I mean? And one of the biggest things that's been going on right now, and one of the reasons why we decided to do this one for our group meeting, obviously gay marriage is a big issue right now, being legalized, but very, very recently, a report came out about the new Spider-Man series, and Sony and Marvel had their list of notes that you had to follow. Peter Parker rules, and then Spider-Man rules if they weren't Peter Parker. One of them, amongst all the other ones, it said like he's got to live in New York, he's got to be a kid, he has to have the whole Uncle Ben thing, like that kind of stuff. But one of them that people have picked out has been Peter Parker is heterosexual. And people were furious, and they're like, why can't he be gay? Why can't Spider-Man be gay? To me, Miles Morales can be, because he doesn't have a big, like, set of continuity. Miguel O'Hara can be. A lot of these other kind of versions of them. Spider-Ham can be. I don't give a shit. But Peter Parker, one of his big aspects of his character is his love interests. Whether it's Gwen Stacy, Deborah Whitman, Indira Jamani, or whatever, or, of course, everybody's, like, number one that they go to, Mary Jane. If you got rid of that, and you made it like he was interested in Harry Osborn, you've just completely gotten rid of one of, like, the characters for a female to play in these movies. There goes the female lead. You don't have it anymore. That's a problem that people would then complain about and be like, oh, there's just all men in this movie, there's nothing for women. Okay, well then you can't have it both ways. I mean, you technically can if you wanted to make him bisexual, but that's like, why change it for the sake of it? Like, why would you need to change Peter Parker to make him a gay character just to represent the gay community. When Stan Lee even pointed it out, he said, yeah, Peter Parker's heterosexual. Why don't you make a different gay character, a new one, and make him really important, or her really important, and just be like, just make a new character. You can make new characters all the time. Do you guys think that Peter Parker could be gay, or is that like the type of thing where these people are, blowing it out of proportion and stuff?
I personally think it's the minority getting louder than the majority. There's most of us that do read the comics don't even know. Sometimes, like, that leaks and we go, whatever, and we just move on. And then it's the ones that get a hold of it and like, well, now we got to take the Capitol and take down flags and stuff like that. Those guys go crazy, and it kind of just amplifies from there. Like you had said, make a new character. You're trying to force your beliefs now onto Peter Parker. I know he's a fictional character, but you're trying to make him gay for the sake of making him gay. He's got love interests. The poor guy has been through a lot in the latest run of the Amazing Spider-Man and shit. He lost his body. He was another man. That's gay enough for you, right? So,
Dr. Coctopus.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I had to. I was like, I can't.
God is pleased.
But I mean, just don't change a character for the sake of changing a character. Like you said, he's defined, most of his actions and most of his decisions are defined on base of his relationships. The whole Civil War arc in the comic series, he didn't want to unmask because of Mary Jane, because of Aunt May, because of all the people he puts in danger. And I don't think you get that sense of urgency if he's gay. Because the other guy's probably a superhero too.
So he's got a crush on Tony Stark, and
yeah,
he's like, he can defend himself.
He's banging Cap on top of the American flag. That'll set a lot of people off.
Caroline's buying that issue.
I am. Like, write it up right now.
But it's got to be Falcon Captain America, not Steve Rogers.
Well, because then you got to work in the ethnic kind of issues too.
Interracial flag banging.
They do have a character called the Flag Smashers.
Is he going after the Confederate flag right now, or am I sidetracking completely?
What about you, Caroline, though? If you saw somebody like a Peter Parker suddenly become gay on screen or something like that, as a woman, would that kind of offend you to be like, well, why can't he be with Mary Jane?
Not really. It would just be, to me, just like you guys been saying, you would just feel really forced. You would just be like almost like a marketing strategy to make his story somehow more inclusive or diverse or something like that. I mean, I feel like he's just such a well-established character as he is. Like, I don't see what would be the point of changing his sexuality right now. If they did change it, though, it wouldn't make me not like him. Or, I mean, bottom line is that I don't really even like Spider-Man anyways, but it wouldn't, whatever, okay? Let me live. I'm not hurting anyone. It wouldn't really change things for me, but I feel like if that was like a character that I grew up with and I was invested in, it would just feel almost as if I never really knew that character. Like, if he really was gay, like, why? Like, was it all a lie? You know what I'm saying? Like, almost like I would feel betrayed as a fan. And I feel like bottom line is that that's like the worst thing you can do to fans, is when you show that character that they grew up with, that they really love, they read all the stories, they've seen all the movies, all of a sudden you change them. Oh yeah, by the way, like they did it with Dumbledore, like out of nowhere. It just kind of feels, I don't know, like it would make me kind of upset in a way that I just felt that character was, I didn't know that character, that everything was just a lie. So it would just like upset me on that level, but not really, if Mary Jane was there or not, like whatever, bitch, like bye. I don't really like her either. So, but yeah, I just feel like it wouldn't make sense. Like, I would love if Marvel did come up with like a very like strong character that, just happened to be gay. if it was done like as if it's not like a big deal, which would be impossible to do right now, because I feel that if they did do that,
they'd exploit the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But that brings up a good point, though, because one of the issues with Peter Parker that people always bring up, and actually one of the reasons why they went back to a teenager for this new series for Marvel, they say, the core of the Peter Parker character is relatability. And the reason that the character became popular to begin with was because he wasn't a teenage sidekick to an adult superhero. He was a teenage superhero. So teenagers could identify with him. And when he's in the high school years, like, you can identify with him being picked on, and he's got, he doesn't have, like, Superman pretty much has Lois Lane, and that's it. Yeah, he's flirted with Wonder Woman, and he's got Lana Lang, and he's got Lori Lamaris, and he really is super into the double L's. Surprised he's not with Lex Luthor at this point. But it's pretty much Superman and Lois Lane. And a lot of characters are like that. And Spider-Man was like, well, he's flirting with Gwen Stacy, and then there's Mary Jane, and you got some kind of friction like you would have in high school and college and stuff. And I think if you were to change the character to suddenly be a gay character, you've just alienated all the people that aren't gay for the sake of the people that are. And it was like, well, you can't change the one for the sake of changing it to be more inclusive, and then now you've just excluded all those people too. It's kind of self-defeating.
And it's not like gay people cannot identify with a character that's just not gay. I feel that with a lot of the superheroes, at least with like friends of mine and my cousins who later in life came out, one of the things that they liked about superheroes and helped them cope in a way when they couldn't come out to their families was that they all, well, most of them, not like Tony Stark, but most of them had a double life, and they had to like hide things from people they loved because they felt like they couldn't handle the truth, but it wasn't that one of their lives was better than the other. They both were really great, but somehow they just couldn't be connected. And I feel like that's also a valid point. Like, it doesn't matter if like a character is really good, it has really good development, and it's something that people can connect to. It doesn't matter if you like penis or vagina or both, or if you're into bondage, or if you like eating shit. Or look, it doesn't matter if a character is good. It's good. Oh, do you want to hear more? I have like a whole list.
Try me.
They really better not make Peter Parker a character that's into like fecophilia or something like that. They'll just be like, yeah, Mary Jane's cute and all, but
her shit.
That bathroom.
Oh man.
Or like, what's the term? People that are into trees. Suddenly they're like really in the group.
I'll look it up.
Yes, please do.
Hang on.
It's got to have something with like arbor in it or something.
Yeah, it's arbophilics, something like that. I don't know, but I saw many videos, very interesting videos. Oh.
Huh. Yeah, so those are for the group people out there. But that brings up
Shout
a good idea
out to
with
my
the.
friends.
You kind of mentioned the whole like the super hero secret identity thing and stuff. Immediately when I think of when it comes to that stuff, a great representation of that is from X-Men 2, X-Men United, where the director of that series, other than some of the offshoots, X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine and stuff like that, Bryan Singer is gay, and he did a great parallel when it came to certain characters like that, because the X-Men series has always been about being different, whether it's an ethnic thing or a religious thing or sexuality thing or whatever. It's always been the core of that series. And not only is Ian McKellen, Magneto, a huge icon for the community, but the scene in X-Men 2 where Bobby Drake's parents, Iceman's parents, are flat out having the conversation of coming out with him. And he's saying that he's a mutant. And they even had the line, have you tried not being a mutant?
Yeah.
That is blatantly obvious supposed to be a kid coming out to his parents and stuff. And his little brother being like opposed to it and stuff like that. And they've recently just changed Iceman to be gay in the comics. They haven't really fully established the situation behind it, but from my understanding, it was a conversation with Jean Grey that Bobby was having where he was hitting on a bunch of women and saying that they were hot, and she said, because she can read minds and stuff, she was like, Bobby, why are you trying so hard to be like, oh, these women are so hot, we all know you're gay. And he was just like, what? Like, you know, Colossus in the Ultimate series is gay, and even before that, North Star became one of the most well-known gay characters in comics because he came out as gay. He was just, you know, flat out. North Star is a gay X-Men character and stuff like that, and he became a big icon and stuff like that. Dace, you had said beforehand about Colossus being gay, or that you didn't know that he was, I think?
I didn't, and that kind of bugs me because he had such a intense story arc with Kitty Pryde, and a lot... hell, the biggest decision, which eventually I think got him killed, was he tried to save Kitty, and then Kitty did the same thing later on in the same issues. So it kind of.
Well, this is the Ultimate series.
Oh, I don't read that shit.
So that's the different maker. Like, there's no connection with him and Kitty in that one. He's just, I think it's like him and North Star actually. Iceman one though, that is the normal continuity, I think.
Yeah.
Which, Iceman's had some kind of relationships with different people in the past, but I don't know. Like, I think of that as kind of. I'm disappointed that Iceman is the one that they went with.
As long as it doesn't change his character to the core, like they go, oh, he's gay, and then he's not out like the next block. He's banging dudes for
suddenly he's very flamboyant and very like yeah. Like, you can be Iceman and still be Iceman, and you just happen to be gay, like you know, and. Now he's not like... I always thought it was stupid that he wore a stupid bandana. Because it was just like, what the fuck are you wearing a bandana for? You're Iceman.
Yeah.
But, like, if they changed it now where it's like a rainbow bandana, it would just be like, oh, give me a goddamn break.
Yeah, trying too much. Like, it's...
If I would have went with a character for X-Men to change, I would have made Beast gay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He always struck me as that kind of a character that, like... He
like
never
a bear.
Oh, yes!
But, like, not like the stereotypical kind of thing of him being like very gentle and like astute and stuff like that, but he always kind of struck me as like they never really put him with a lot of people. Like Wolverine is just sleeping with everybody, and Scott is with Jean and Emma Frost, and even doing the whole thing with Magneto and Professor X. Like, there was always kind of like some kind of a sexual tension there. They're not supposed to be, but people can read into it that way. Especially when you see Ian McKellen kissing Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I would have gone with Beast, not Iceman. And I think the reason that they went with Iceman was because he wouldn't have been like the obvious choice, and he's kind of like, I don't know, like the younger male character would identify with the younger male audience and stuff more. Like, a teenager who is going through that right now wouldn't be like, well, I can look at Beast and that'll give me the courage to come out or whatever, but I can look at Iceman and that kind of thing. And I don't know, I kind of look at that as like, speaking from an outsider's perspective, I don't think that really matters. I would have gone with just Beast anyway because he seems like better character for it.
Yeah.
Makes more sense. Plus, he's really educated and stuff like that. So you're taking a womanizer and just making him gay. Why not make the astute one? Because Bobby's always, to me, been a background player. And Beast is more to the forefront. He's always in, like, politics, science. He's an Avenger. So he would have had a bigger impact.
And he could also actually, since he's one of the teachers there, one of the professors, he can kind of represent that idea of, like, we're learning from a total womanizer asshole like Wolverine, and we're learning from a stuck-up Boy Scout douchebag like Cyclops, and we're learning from this really strong female character in Storm, and also we have a gay professor in Beast, and we've got a wheelchair handy-capable character in Professor X, like, you know, that kind of, and then normal, well, not normal, far from normal when it comes to Jean Grey, because she's totally nuts, but I don't know. That's my like nitpicking of that kind of stuff, because I think you can change these characters, but you need to pick certain ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Beast would have made much more sense. He's also can console the younger generation better than someone like Bobby. Like Bobby's a joke cracker, so you can't really hit it home with any kind of in-depth material with Bobby, whereas Beast could drive it home a lot better because he's, like I said, more intellectual and such.
What do you guys think about, if you do know, I mean, I assume that a lot of people would be like, who? But the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, they made him gay a couple years ago to kind of make him stand out. Good option, or just who the fuck is that?
It's for the sake of it. It's just, I really think it's just marketing. I'm gonna put it in a better perspective. When you have characters that go on and on for decades, you know, Spider-Man and Superman, especially Superman, and whoever else, Batman, and there comes a point where you've recycled the franchise so much, there is nothing left to do but make them gay. You know, maybe 10 years from now, they do yoga and are vegetarians or vegans rather. You know, it's just
right?
What?
So being vegan and doing yoga, like, never mind.
No, I didn't catch what you guys said. But the point is, it's so obvious that it's just for the sake of marketing. I don't care that maybe there was a backstory with a character or two, because that is so irrelevant. It's like saying, you might as well show the characters going to the bathroom, you know, in a panel or two, because, you know, they have to, they're human. You know, it's like, oh, they're human, so we have to talk about their sexuality or allude to it. It's like, okay, allude to it is fine, like, but don't create a whole culture behind it. Like, oh, now we're gonna make Spider-Man gay, you know, like, okay, do it, you know, do it tastefully. Don't put a fucking pride flag in every scene of the movie. That's what I'm saying. I know that's not being done, which is cool. But here's the thing. It's all franchises, and this is why I always remember there's one character, that nobody's ever going to question, and it's probably the richest character in the history of pop culture, and that's Calvin and Hobbes, because there's never going to be any bullshit surrounding that character, and it's in everybody's hearts, you know? So, I don't know, that's kind of my view on it. I see it as nothing other than a marketing, strategy. Right? Yes. Even God agrees. See? And God is cool. I mean, he's cool. I've been talking to him. He's like, oh yeah, you know what? It's cool to be gay, but just, you know, like, do it in style if you're going to make movies with your characters and stuff. Like Carolyn pointed out, you know, these are characters that people grew up with, and then all of a sudden it's like, we were just bullshitting you. Here's what we're going to do now. You know, it's kind of,
I know what
it doesn't make any sense. You can't take this stuff seriously. This is why I can't take these characters seriously anymore. I used to when I was a kid, and then there's a franchise here, then another franchise there. You know, there's Marvel, whatever. Then there's meets DC or versus DC, or if there was such a thing in the past, I don't know. That's what. Unfortunately, this mishandling of the franchises is what kind of made me drift away from comics.
But it's kind of funny that you bring that up, because like the marketing and how they make everything sensationalized and stuff. Because I think it's kind of it ties into sort of my argument that I always have about the quote strong female character end quote, where I have no problem whatsoever if a woman is kicking ass on screen, because women can do that. I hate when a woman is kicking ass on screen because she's a woman.
No, that makes no sense. Black Widow.
Black Widow is perfect in Winter Soldier. Especially
Totally.
the opening scene. Like, you know, they're on the boat and she's just doing the same shit that Captain America's doing. And not once in that scene do I sit there and go, yeah, but she's got a vagina. Like,
Right.
it's like, no, she is a trained assassin. She's fucking these people up because she's a trained assassin. But I hate it when a movie will come out and it'll be like this Supergirl TV show. I watched the pilot and it beats you over the head with this idea. It goes, there's literally like 5 lines in this one episode that revolve around the idea of her being a girl, and that's supposed to be like risque. Like,
man.
there's a scene in it where she has not used her powers in, like, forever, and she never fights anybody anyway, so she's not, like, a trained fighter. And she's fighting somebody who not only is one of the worst criminals in Krypton's history, but he's also twice her size, and he has a weapon. And this army general goes, she's not going to stand a chance. And this woman goes, why? 'Cause she's a girl? And it's like, no, because she's a fucking teenager who doesn't know how to fight, and she's fighting a trained criminal with a fucking axe.
Right.
Like, but it's like,
logic.
oh, because she's a girl, she can't fight? No. And I hate that stuff about stuff.
Man, that sounds like some cheesy dialogue from Roadhouse or something.
Right. I mean, it's blatantly obvious in the entire thing. I keep saying that tonight. I hate that. Apologize for all the times I'm saying blatant.
It's better than but.
Yeah, that's true.
Who got that?
They just really, really want to beat that into your head of like, the commercial says, it's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's not a man. And it's like, I know it's not a man because it's Supergirl.
The drone.
If it was a man named Supergirl, that series would be wrong because she is Kara.
It'd be perfect for
Right.
this conversation, though.
You know,
Transgender.
it would be. Like, I'm surprised they don't do that kind of stuff. But that kind of mentality of, like, we're going to do this thing to be more politically correct, but we're going to point it out to you, defeats the purpose of being politically correct. Like, you can have a character like Renee Montoya and even Maggie Sawyer in the comics and stuff. These are two cops in Metropolis and Gotham City. Renee Montoya is a lesbian. And not once in the animated series did I sit there and go, she might be gay and, whatever. It was just like, oh, Renee Montoya's a cop. She's a good cop.
Right.
She's a better cop than Harvey Bullock because he's a fat, drunken pig of an asshole. And Renee Montoya is a good cop. So I don't care that she's a lesbian. I don't need to see her pine.
Yeah, that was just wrong, man. You know, it's drunken asshole of a pig, not drunken pig of an asshole.
He's one of them drunken pig asshole types.
Yeah. Wow.
But,
that's not cool.
They don't broadcast it as like Renee Montoya is this character that needs to represent the lesbian community or something like they are in the Gotham series. And I know you watch that, Days. They've made Barbara Gordon bisexual, and she's got a relationship with Renee Montoya.
They made her a slut.
And on top of that, but like Renee Montoya's got to be like, she's done nothing but be the former flame of Barbara. And it was like, well, shit, she's supposed to be a good cop. Can't you have her, like, solving a goddamn crime?
You know what it is? I feel that, and I don't want to say writers, but, like, people that are doing these TV shows, especially in some movies, they are just getting so lazy when it comes to character development. I think that they say, oh, and she's a cop and she's gay. Like, that's enough description to make a character layered and complex and real. You know, it becomes like one of their selling points. And that's not what we had in the comic books, like you said, like, good cop. Like, that was, like, the biggest thing about her. But no, you know, she's a lesbian, and she had an affair with Barbara, and that's who she is. And that's just retarded. Silly, stupid. And people don't like the word retarded.
I was just going to say, now people are going to be like, oh my god, I'm offended because you're talking about gay people, you're talking about
I'm
changing
sorry.
races, now you're saying retarded. I hate this fucking fanboys and all.
Sorry,
And if you're one of those people, fuck off. God damn it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they don't need to do that kind of stuff. They've been hinting out now that Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn have had a relationship, and that's fine. I don't care, you know. Poison Ivy's always struck me as a character that could totally be lesbian, and they've really hit on it a lot over the years of her hating a lot of, like, men and stuff.
Yeah. And Harley Quinn had such an abusive relationship with the Joker for so long that I felt that, you know, I don't know, Dave says that Poison Ivy is a player or whatever. I don't know. She might be. But I just feel like their relationship is just so sweet. And
Is that she's a plant.
Oh, I thought you said player.
No, she's a slut, but also a plant.
Oh, okay.
Androphilia.
There you go.
There's a
were.
hook up with
Chlorophyll joke here somewhere.
Oh God.
I'd chlorophyll her.
There you go. I was like, I know
Oh yeah.
we're dancing around it. But...
Oh God.
God is laughing.
Sam.
That makes with the Harley Quinn situation, yeah, she had this horribly abusive relationship with the Joker. That might kind of turn her off against men, at least for a little bit or something in the comics, because that happens. People run into that situation. People will be like abused as a kid, and then they grow up to be like asexual, or they grew up and they were unfortunately like molested or something, and that warped their perception of things. And I don't know. I mean, it's
absolutely
kind of like, I don't mind that kind of a thing, although I do kind of find it a little bit annoying in a way that they changed Catwoman to be bisexual, because one of her backstories, they changed it over the years, of course. She's not as like confusing as the Joker, where you don't even know his goddamn name, but like he has his like absence of a backstory, and Catwoman has a couple backstories. One of them is that she was a prostitute. And one of the characters that is associated with that kind of a story is Holly Robinson. And Holly Robinson has been somebody who is a lesbian. To me, it was like, well, you've already got Holly Robinson. Does Catwoman need to be bisexual? Because we know that Catwoman is like pretty much the one for Batman. You can only really argue Talia and Catwoman and maybe Vicky Vale. Because nobody's going to be like, no, that's Silver St. Cloud, goddammit. Like, but,
Robin.
Or Robin. Right? Robin is the woman for Batman.
It's so many of them because they all turn on.
But like,
any news on the any scoops on the sexuality of Alfred?
He's the asexual
Alfred's had relationships in the past. He had a daughter too.
Oh,
A dog?
Daughter.
Oh, okay.
A dog.
Well, technically they've had a dog.
Oh shit, that's fucked up.
Ace the Bat Hound.
Hey, but hey, you can't judge. You know what I mean?
They should be married.
They changed Catwoman to be bisexual, and I think that's because she's a very sexual character, and they kind of want to just play with it, because there's probably some people out there, and they're probably just like, oh, it was so hot that Catwoman was kissing this chick, and it's like,
right.
A goddamn cartoon, dude. Like,
oh, I mean, but people marry their pillows, so I'm
those
sure
people
that
are fucked up, though. I mean, come on.
No. Break. Okay, intermission just for this. What the fuck are you talking about?
What? You don't know? Like
I kind of don't. I really, really want to now.
That pillow's a good listener, a good cuddler, and doesn't give me sass back. So I will marry that pillow in a heartbeat.
Hey, that cuddle supports me.
Yeah.
Or at least my neck at night.
I put that pillow between my legs. It goes to town.
No, don't fuck around. Is this for real? Don't fuck around. Don't fuck around. Is this for real?
Yes.
No. I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
I'm serious. Like, check it out. If you look for waifu pillows.
Nah, it's made up. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Big guy
it's an
says so.
actual thing.
Okay,
no, I've
it's
actually
an
seen
actual-
pictures.
Okay,
of
I'm
people
gonna
that have,
Google
like, a
this.
big
If I'm not
group
satisfied with the Google results, I'm calling shenanigans.
Okay then.
I saw
Hang
a
on. What's it called?
picture,
Pillow.
waifu.
Waifu?
Waifu, I think.
Mary Korean.
WAISU.
SU? Like,
SU?
shut up.
S as in face? You?
No, okay, yeah.
So, like, fuck you.
Yes.
If you're a doll.
This is like a Wi-Fi thing that's gone weird? Like, it's a pillow?
Yeah, it's Wi-Fi that's fucked up from Comcast.
Oh, no wonder she'd always just
Why
like,
fuck you?
fuck yeah. Paint pictures on their pillows? I never thought of doing that.
Yeah.
But see,
you
that
can
brings
get.
brings up a different point entirely while Eddie is researching this and hopefully not typing with one hand.
Look at the ass on that one.
Oh.
If you've got this idea, this mentality of we need to change characters to be more representation of different people, like a transgender character and stuff like that, I'm fine with that to an extent as long as it works. I mean, we've already established, like I said, you should make Beast gay because that makes sense. And, Apollo and Midnight are cool, fine. But, like, at what point do we just get where people start complaining about every little thing? Because people do that now.
Yeah,
constantly.
exactly. And they're not going to stop because complaining about things is fun.
Like, are we just going to get to a point now where,
totally.
like, somebody's going to complain and be like, well, I really don't like how the Flash doesn't, that he's flirting with Iris West. He should be flirting with a pillow. Because that makes me feel uncomfortable.
That'd be awesome.
You can't be all-inclusive for everybody. And not to say, like, if you stand out, that's kind of one of the things you just got to deal with, but... this, of course, is not a good parallel, but it's the best I can come up with. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't do any drugs at all. And I am totally fine with the idea that, like, to almost everybody, that's fucking weird. And I don't know how many conversations I have to have with people where they're like, so you don't drink anything ever, like, at all? Like, you don't even drink beer? And I'm like, no. And if they were like, well, we don't want to invite him out to a bar because what's he going to do? I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Not like, I'm terribly offended. You need to invite me out to this kegger and I can watch everybody drink.
Keg stands.
Woo.
Tony.
Yeah, you can totally get drunk like like
Drunk on Powerade.
on osmosis. No, I mean like
Drunk on sugar. That's what I do.
Contact drunk.
yeah, sort of. The fumes of the alcohol will kind of get you there. Like I haven't had alcohol like in over a year, and honestly, like, what's the big deal? Like, I don't miss it at all, and I feel better, and
Yeah, like,
and no, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, whatever. I don't do any of that stuff, and I'm totally fine. I don't get it,
Yeah, and I stand out that way, and I'm not sitting there complaining about, like, well, why aren't there more characters? Like, every freaking TV show, people drink. And there's some TV shows that are entirely about people drinking and stuff.
Right.
And, like a movie like Beer League or whatever it was. I didn't go see that movie, but I didn't not go see it because it's about drinking. I didn't go to see it because it looked stupid and it didn't have good reviews. But I would have perfectly gone to go see it if it looked funny. It wouldn't have been like, well, you got to make a movie about non-drinkers. And when people complain about, like, diversity in comics and movies and TV shows and stuff, and they would take a character, like, I don't know, let's pitch in a random character here, like, if you've got the Avengers, and if somebody was like, well, why can't Hawkeye be gay? Why does he have to have a family? Well, why does he have to be gay? Like, why?
Right.
Like, can't he have a family? Nobody else has a family.
He needs the family so
Right.
we can kill them later.
Yeah. So we can kill him in Civil War, and then he can fight on the side that wants to have the registration.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, I'll be upset. But, like, you should make things more diverse because it's not the way that it used to be. I mean, comics were made back in an era where people, like, were persecuted for being different in a lot of ways. And even when it comes to women in comics, like, Lois Lane used to be a total pushover. And she was just kind of like, well, I've got my apron on, I'm going to make Superman some cookies. And then now it's like she is a badass kind of like, I'm the feisty one of the two, and Superman is the one who's, the wimp and stuff. Perfectly fine. I mean, you should change as time goes on, but you shouldn't change for the sake of it being a publicity thing.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I agree. I'm like, stuff happens for the sake of it. And like, if you look at comedy movies, back in the whatever decades, now there's so much more like marijuana and pot culture going on that like, there have been some great movies, especially from like, that whole, Seth Rogen, kind of Jonah Hill. Is that his name? Jonah Hill?
Jonah Hill, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Dude, I saw this movie. What was it? The End of the World or something?
This
the World
is the
Ends.
end.
Dude, oh my
This
God,
is
that movie
the
was so fucking funny. I was not
So
expecting it
funny,
to be
yeah.
so funny. And it totally revolves around potheads.
Right.
It totally revolves around potheads, and it's hilarious. Like, it's, and I don't care much for pot and all that stuff, the whole culture that comes with it, but that was, I love that movie. So, I mean, it's just saying, like, yeah, okay, I don't care if a character's gay, but just don't define him. We'll start defining him by his sexuality. I mean, Although sexuality
Yeah.
defines everybody, every individual is defined by their sexuality one way or another. That doesn't mean that you're going to display a work of fiction that's usually PG-13 or at best rated R, and revolve that around him being gay or something. Don't make that a selling point. Don't make that the tagline of the movie.
Yeah, because you don't do that with the heterosexual characters.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa. Hang on a second. I unfortunately, before the podcast, I was like, you know what? Yeah, these movies, they keep like waving all this like gay pride in my face, and I'm like, I don't wave my heterosexual pride in anybody's face, so I'm like, oh shit. How many times have I bragged about having banged this chick and that chick? And then I remember Barney Stinson, and then I remember Joey Tribbiani, and then I remember all sorts of alpha male, like totally like macho hetero dude have banged all the, every chick on the face of the earth. And I'm like, maybe you can't get away from it, like now we're finally starting to see the other side. Maybe because, homosexuals are still, a minority. I mean, who knows what God has in store for us in the past several centuries, but wouldn't you like to know? Yeah. And so I mean, it just occurred to me, like we're so used to the, like the whole, being straight is normal, that it's gonna strike us kind of weird, and who knows what's gonna happen next.
I would say being a straight male is normal, because whenever we see a female character who's sleeping with a bunch of different guys, she's just a slut.
Mm-hmm.
Total slut.
But I'm talking like gay, like
Gay slut.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all revolving around sexuality one way or another. We just don't see it because we're so used to it. When we see a character that's like, oh, he's gonna catch them all, and
Pokemon.
Like Ash?
yeah, he's gonna catch them all. And it's like,
Is that why
That's
Ash
normal.
never really did anything with Misty? He was more into Brock.
Aw, who isn't?
Brock is the man. I mean, he did turn a frying pan into a drawing pan.
Oh my god, dude! I did not know that was coming.
oh, right. Don't you see? I mean, heterosexual promiscuity, from a male standpoint, is fine. It's normal. Anything else outside of that, it's kind of weird, slutty, or freak, or whatever. Like, like Caroline said, if a girl does it, then we can get into anthropology here, but whatever. For the sake of it, let's keep going. If a girl does it, she's a slut. So, what if, the next character, like Supergirl, if they make Supergirl like a super slut? What's the criteria? I mean, a lot of guys will go watch that totally. And like, oh yeah, she's getting plowed, and she's like, yeah, because her character revolves around this. So you can't not display it one way or another, even if you're just alluding to it. You don't have to show the porn or anything. I'm just saying, just allude to it constantly, and you're working up this sexual tension in between the fans and the characters. And then this is why you see a fucking Korean guy marrying his pillow, right? Because it's got a fucking manga character.
I am totally buying one right now.
I know you just clicked purchase because there was only one left, and then I tried to purchase it, and then it said sold out.
That's how I roll.
Yeah.
And in 2 days, I'll be rolling with her. What up?
Whatever. I got the red-haired one.
No. There's another one with like face down, ass up. I know I'm completely sidebarring, but
That's the one I got, dude.
Sex.
But there's like 5 left, so you can still get it.
Oh. I don't want to be jealous. I don't want to be like a slut and have 2 pillows. So I'll just.
One of them might be jealous.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. Anyways, back to the topic. What were we talking about?
All right, so something to just kind of play off this idea. We've already talked about a bunch of different characters. We've talked about, I guess, like the repercussions and stuff and whatever like that. But if you were given creative control and you could either make up a new superhero that was either transgender or lesbian or gay or bisexual or whatever the case may be, or you could change a different one. And this goes for movies, TV shows, comics, whatever, that kind of stuff. What would you do? Would you go with more of changing a character? And if so, who and why? And if you would go with making up a new character, pitch the idea. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I would change Miss Marvel and Spider-Woman because I want to see it. That's about it. I think we
Really?
just create new characters. There's a bunch of characters already established with a legacy. And even when they do make a character gay or whatever, it really doesn't impact what they're doing anyway. It's just kind of like, hey, he's gay. So just make new ones. And then maybe make that kind of a hero for them to lean on. Why do you need to take the stuff we already created? But Miss Marvel and Spider-Woman, they should fuck.
Oh God.
Caroline, Eddie, what do you think?
I would definitely create a new one. I think that it'd be really refreshing to see a new superhero that we grow with, just like we did with Spider-Man and Batman. Like, we've known these characters for so long, so why can't we just make a new one, a fresh one, that just happens to be gay? And so that way we would see what that character goes for, you know? Not only finding out about his powers, but also like trying to figure out about himself and doing it in a very tasteful way, in a way that wouldn't alienate any person of any like sexuality. It would just be another quality of that character. It wouldn't be like a defining thing about that character. It would just be like a side note. Oh, by the way, you know, they're gay, and it doesn't affect the fact that that's awesome. It doesn't change the fact that that character still could be a really good character that would connect with a bunch of different people.
What about you, Eddie?
I second that. It's just, if you create a character, for whatever reason, if it fits in the plot, it's all, everything is about story. Everything is about plot. And, if the character develops to a certain point where his sexuality or her sexuality will emerge, that's fine. If I may point out a character in the Preacher series, there's a guy who actually likes to fuck animals. But that makes, the Preacher takes place in the Deep South, and he's just displaying the kind of, that whole stale environment where everything seems really, really backwater. I'm not criticizing those who might want to, whatever, adventure themselves with a member of another species, whatever. But, however, I'm just saying, it is backwater. It's a dark comic, and, there's just one of the guys, there's like, I think there's like two brothers, and one of the guys is like, he's just, oh, there's a German Shepherd kind of sleeping there. And then there's an allusion to it. Obviously, he's like, hey. So he looks at the German Shepherd and says, nice night.
Wow.
And then after that, you assume something happened. Like, I only read a couple of Preacher comic books, but I know for a fact that there has been a lot of allusions to that one character having that kind of sexuality. But there's a place for it. It happens for a reason. It's just it's really outlining the dark atmosphere of the comic. Otherwise, I have to say, it's just don't for the sake of it, don't, oh man, out of proportion, Dumbledore's gay. And I remember when my sister mentioned this Dumbledore's gay thing, I remember I actually read it somewhere online. And then I read another article about it, then another article popped up, and then something I'm like, wow, okay, this is totally a marketing scheme. Cause like, what, now people are going to start reading the book again, or new fans are going to emerge because, there was a gay character. Oh, now I can totally relate. Like, I don't see it as anything other than just marketing. So I can't really take this stuff seriously.
And I'm going to go the total opposite route. I'm going to say don't make new characters because I'm sick and tired of seeing so many characters. Like, I look at the X-Men series and I'm like, holy shit, we've got like hundreds and hundreds of X-Men, and I can't tell you anything about any of them other than like a core dozen. Like, Scott Summers has personality. Who the fuck is Hellion? Or like, I can tell you, backstory between Wolverine and Jean Grey, and Magneto's got this like really rich backstory and this real hardcore personality and stuff like that. And then you look at Rockslide and you look at Sunspot, and it's like Wolfsbane, pointless characters and stuff. Like, I want people to combine characters more than anything. So when somebody says like, well, you can make a new character, yeah, you can, but at the same time, I don't have any confidence that they can. Like, if they were gonna make a new Avenger, and it was gonna be like, we're making them, and they happen to be gay or transgender or whatever, I would be like, yeah, you know what? They're probably gonna make it with that mentality of let's make a transgender character, and all they're gonna do is make them transgender, and they're gonna have no other personality other than that.
Right.
While
That
you
makes
can
sense,
take a character like, say, Martian Manhunter, he could be bisexual. He could be bisexual and transgender because he can change his body. And you could just kind of say, well, in Martian culture, there's like no difference when it comes to bisexuality. Like, everybody just kind of connects through their telepathy. So he can shapeshift into a man or a woman or a black woman or an Asian man, or like, he could do any of that kind of stuff as it is. So if he's flexible like that, why not make his perception of love flexible? Or why not take, like, say, Cyborg and make him a gay character? Or make, like, you know, anybody who doesn't have like a firmly established canon. Like, you don't do it with Superman.
Right.
You don't do it with Batman. You don't do it with, say, Green Lantern or something like that. But you can make like a Green Lantern gay or something like that. Like, you can make Kilowog gay, and he could just be, you know, Kilowog happens to be gay, and I'm like, well, you know, I don't care. But if you've already got established Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris, keep him the way he is. And that kind of applies too with a lot of like changing the ethnicity or the gender of characters, because I would be fine with Cyborg being a woman, because Victor Stone is just kind of like, it's Victor Stone. I don't care about Victor Stone. And he could be Victoria Stone. And like, you know, if you were going to change a villain, you can make a villain any of those kind of things, or you can make a hero any of those things. It doesn't have to be one or the other, and it doesn't have to be, you know, you can only make, when they made the new Miss Marvel, what's her name, the Middle Eastern one?
I stopped reading when they made her Middle Eastern.
Because you like Carol Danvers.
Yeah, I still read that series, but I forget. She's got like a Mr. Fantastic type power. It's not even similar to what the Miss Marvel. Yeah, she can stretch or something.
Well, that sounds stupid.
Yeah, I wrote about it, but I didn't read it.
But like, they made that up, and they were like, well, let's make her Middle Eastern because we don't have any Middle Eastern things. And it's like, well, did you even need the character? Like,
right.
You know, couldn't you have made, if you really went, we don't have any Middle Eastern characters, couldn't you have made maybe, I don't know, Scott Lang? Like,
Yeah.
He didn't need to be Paul Rudd. He could have been,
I think her name's Kamala Khan, the new one.
yeah, she sounds like she should be in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Or in wrestling.
Yeah.
Kamala Khan with the...
There was actually a dude called Kamala
Yeah.
a long time ago.
She's from Jersey, though, so whoop whoop, represent.
So was Kamala, I guess.
Good part of Jersey or bad?
Jersey City, New Jersey. So they got as Jersey as they possibly could.
Ask a New Yorker, this is only bad.
Ask somebody from Philly,
Oh.
and they'll be like, oh, a place where I don't get shot. Okay, I like it.
God.
But no, I mean, I think that it boils down to you should have more diversity, but you shouldn't do it for the sake of publicity. And you should do it in a sense that, like, the characters can change over the years, but they shouldn't change just because you're getting pressure to do it or because you want to exploit it. And
Yeah.
too many people that are complaining don't see that as the bad side of things, because they just see the positive of that being out there. And I'll say it right now, I mean, people complain about everything. I read something the other day that really just pissed me off, and it's a total sidebar, but it shows the mentality of why people complain a lot, like why that's not a good reason to change a character just because somebody's complaining. Do you guys know that commercial of the peanut butter and jelly Pop-Tarts? Where
Yes,
it's
the
the
baby gets eaten.
he's got your peanut butter, well, he's got your jelly, and then she's just
Right.
like, that looks good, and whatever, and they go, oh, no, and the one goes, jam it.
Yeah.
I read a thing that said that there was a petition going out of a bunch of people complaining for two reasons. One, jam it is offensive.
Oh my God, really?
My kids are going to start repeating that because kids repeat everything. And then
Jam it?
another group of people going, that's horrible that you're implying that a baby would be eaten. It's a fucking Pop-Tart.
It's a
Like,
Pop-Tart.
You eat Pop-Tarts, and it's a cartoon. And even if it was a real baby, it would be a goddamn commercial. They're not killing a baby on screen. Like, but people bitch about anything that they want to bitch about, whether it is a friggin' Pop-Tart baby or it's...
Oh, man.
I just saw it. It's so whatever. Like,
Yeah, it's no reason to complain. And when it comes to people that are viewed as a minority, I think there's so much of a vocal minority. I think Dace brought that up, vocal minority, of like, I don't stand out, or I don't stand out enough, or I feel like I'm different, so I need to fight back. And it's like, well, you know, there's not as many people fighting against you as there used to be. So you don't need to as much. Like, if you were to say that, you know, when Iceman came out as gay, a lot of people that I was reading the opinions about were complaining that it was Iceman, not that they made an X-Men character gay. And I think that shows you right there why you shouldn't be complaining, unless something pops up where somebody says something like that. Like, if there was a writer that said, you know, James Bond can't be gay because I hate gay people, then it's like, dude, that ain't fucking cool.
Yeah.
But if he says James Bond is not going to be gay because James Bond's not gay, well, you know what? It's been 20-something movies. James Bond's not gay. That's fine.
Right.
If you want to have a gay spy movie, you can write another spy movie that happens to be about a gay guy. Or you can, if you were like, well, why can't James Bond be a fat woman? All right, well, then go see the Melissa McCarthy movie Spy. There you go. Like, I don't know. To me, I think that it's a problem, and it's a problem with how people deal with it. Any other thoughts you guys have before we just round this out?
Well, I think that I agree 100% what you're saying. I just wanted to add that, like with anything, it's always good to have a limit to things, you know? It's really good in a way that people are talking a lot about diversity and realizing that a superhero can be many different things. They don't need to be just a white, straight male, you know?
Yeah, short haircut always saves the woman. Like,
yes, you know, and just very muscular and just very dashing looking. So it's nice. It's nice that we're realizing that the idea of perfection of the hero, it's not cookie cutter. It comes in many different ways because we're human beings, so we come in every single shape, size, whatever. But I also think that we need to, in a way, restrain ourselves where we're just finding issues with every single thing. You can try the best you can to create a superhero that will appeal to all different people, that's super inclusive and just very like modern with the ideas, but you still find people that will not like it and will find things that are wrong with it and will find things that need to be changed. That's just how humans are. We're always trying to change things and improve things and complain about things. But I just think that it's nice that, you know, even the fact that we're having this discussion right now, I don't think that it would have been a thing even a few years ago. So, yeah, it's kind of annoying in a way, and they are definitely coming up with characters just to supply, you know, like the gay quota or the Middle Eastern, we don't have any Middle Eastern characters. Let's just like drop one in. Why not? But we just need to go back to the basis of creating characters that are good and well developed. But yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Good way to wrap that up. So, one thing that we do have to do is we just have to plug some stuff. And we're going to go around in a circle here, and we're going to just tell you about some other things that we're working on, and then some other things that you can follow us on, and different social media accounts and all that other kind of stuff. Daceman, go first.
Check out the Daceman Show Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on megapowersradio.com. It's really all we got going. And all the articles I just posted on fanboysnonce.com. My fingers hurt. Go read them.
And Eddie?
Yeah, check out my band, Social Parasites. We're going to be playing next week an acoustic show. It's going to be here in Brazil, though, so if you can make it, that would be cool. God, anything?
Throw away.
It's just it's not that. I mean, you can get a plane from JFK, and then I think this is straight flights to São Paulo.
Jersey to JFK.
yeah, you got to do that too. Never mind. I guess I got nothing. God, I have plans for peace in the Middle East next year, but yeah, I got to go do that thing in somewhere else first.
Gotta go buy one of those dolls.
Yeah.
Pillows. Dolls are a different thing. Don't get it confused.
Yeah, that's it. You guys got me.
Caroline, anything that you want people to be aware of?
Yes. Aside from Fanboys Anonymous, which I haven't posted anything in a while. I'm sorry, you guys. Working on it. It's unfortunately it's getting to be a very, very long article. So I'm going to try to cut it a bit so that nobody kills me. But check out my website, C as in Caroline, zebra, O, F as in fuck you, and X.com. I'm going to be posting some really cool things soon. And you can also check out my Instagram, creepy_Caroline.
Okay, I didn't say X as in
Oh.
X-ray or something like
X-Files.
X as in xylophone.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, from my side of things, you can go to smarkoutmoment.com for the wrestling stuff if you are into WWE, sports entertainment, and whatnot. You can check out the All Talk Show whenever we decide to do that, because we do that totally at random. But if you want to be on the live show for that, then you got to follow facebook.com/alltalkshow. That's where we alert you when we decide that we're going to do one. And if you can't find it live, then you can always check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can do that on Smark Out Moment, Fanboys Anonymous, and All Talk Show. We're on all three for all three. And, of course, pay attention to everything else coming your way from fanboysanonymous.com. We've got a review point coming up later on this month of Ant-Man whenever we go to see that. That's next Thursday, right? Yeah. Huh.
Yes, sir.
We've got a For Real Movie Club coming up on this Sunday, I think, Dace, right?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, we're going to do the Mission Impossible films for that one. And who knows what else we're going to do. If you guys want to have like a particular discussion, then leave a comment below. Tell us what you want to hear and see and think about and bitch about, whatever. And we will try to do that. Of course, we're going to try to do everything in geek culture because that's what we're here for. But for now, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for listening, everybody. Leave your comments below. Tell us what you think about these different subjects. Tell us if you think certain characters should change, and if they should change, why. And if certain characters shouldn't, why not. And, of course, I have to reiterate, try to keep things where you're not just arguing and bickering with each other. That's not what we're doing here. But nonetheless, that's it for episode 21. We will see you next time, everybody. Adios.